So I just woke up from a nap and a little bit more uh, is missing. More than I thought this time. For some reason that I'm unclear of. These people have been doing this for the past year. So last October 2022, I was having lunch with my family. My sister, my youngest sister, came over to the house and we had tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. And I'm not exactly sure who did what, but I took a drink of water after eating from a cup that I just had sitting out. And almost immediately after that, I started feeling dizzy and my memories started going. It was almost immediately. I took a little nap after that and woke up and I realized I couldn't remember my childhood very well, just bits and pieces. And I realized that, before I go on, I was sitting down in the living room on the chair closest to the printer. I was sitting down and I heard somebody say, after I took a drink of the water, I think it was, I heard somebody say, "That's the biggest mistake you'll ever make." And I thought to myself, oh crap. And then that's when it just shortly after, maybe 5 minutes, that's when it started to hit me. To right after that. And this person I believe to be a good person because, just the sense of empathy and compassion that this person had, knowing what I had just drank. So to back up a little bit, that was last October. But if we back up a little bit further, it was the election of 2016, and I was living up north on Walnut Circle. It was about the same time of year, I remember it was kind of chilly outside, but it wasn't like snowing or anything like that. So it must have been about the same time of year, 2016. Maybe a little bit earlier. I think maybe it was in September-ish. The debates were going on between Trump and Clinton. And, I just say things. I have an opinion about everything, and I was watching him and I was just commenting. frankly, how like it, I think it was the one where, as I remember, it was the one where Trump, or I think it was Trump, had all these like exes or something, or no, like mistresses or something. They were supposed to be like these women that Bill had some relations with or something like that. And they were sitting in the audience. And I just remember thinking, wow, like, this is what I just remember thinking to myself, this is where we're at. Like, the president of the United States is determined in part by the spouse and decisions that the spouse had made that are very private, very private decisions, right? And I said a few other things about Clinton, and I was just kind of just like shaking my head, just being like, what the freaking crap? Like, it's just, to me, I thought of, like, frankly, how ridiculous it was. And how like, how I see the world is like, there are no perfect people. Not a single person. You could dig up dirt on anybody. You can dig up dirt on anybody, and if you're lucky enough, you can, find it, and, maybe learn something from it, right? But that's not what happens in politics. It's not about learning anything. It's about leverages and pulleys, strings, optics. A lot of the times it's not about what the candidate can or can't do. It's about how the candidate makes you feel. And when I watch it, I don't watch politics anymore. But I just remember just spouting off, of course, like I do, and I just, there was a group of people that at the time, before this had happened, I didn't realize the extent of the impact that they had on my life previous to that. But up until previously, this group had been largely like, they infiltrated my work, right? They got in contact with people that I worked and just created problems at my work. Like, it was like spreading false rumors, this, that, and the other. But once I had commented on the debate, after it was done, I went up to my bedroom and I laid down to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, it was like, I remember feeling attacked. And I was like something was going on outside, and my there was some sort of technology using a microwave frequency weapon outside. And I was like, I was like, what the crap is that? And I immediately like got out of bed, and I was like, it was like hearing static and like this feeling of being very uncomfortable. And I remember just thinking, what the heck is that outside? So I got up out of bed, got my pants on, and went outside to that wall where my bed was. And somebody had ripped the aluminum siding off of the side of the house. It was flapping right there. And I know it was that night that it happened, because I had just got done with the gym. I had just gotten home like not two, maybe 3 hours ago, but it was probably like a little over 2 hours ago. I had gotten home, and I parked my car right on that same side of the house, and it was not ripped off. And so I know that it had to have been ripped off that time period, but between the time I got off and arrived at home, between the time I got outside and looked at it. And that was the first like attack that I felt. Shortly after that, things just started getting really weird for me at work. And so I just decided to move in with my very good friend down south. And eventually that's what I ended up doing. I moved down south in it was either December of 2016 or January of 2017. So right around the end there. And it was kind of like a slow move. It wasn't anything fast and overnight type of thing. I just started going down there more, and my ex lived down there, and so that's who I was in contact with. And it turned out to be kind of a good thing. I just kind of made the situation a good thing, and I got to help out down there with a huge problem. And I'm not grateful for this group attacking me, but at the same time, I just made the best of the situation that I was in. Things were great down there. I had to deal with a little bit of drama, but it was like as if it stopped. And I ended up breaking my arm, and I was out of work for a little bit. And after my arm healed enough, I got a job doing installations. And my arm really hurt. Like, that's one of the things I remember, is my arm just really hurting. But it was good for it, it was like, I needed to do something. It was time to do it. Carrying a 70-pound ladder was actually one of the best things, I could do for it. And I just remember thinking, I didn't really like the work, but I just remember thinking I was grateful to, still be able to use my arm because it shattered the bone. Like I lost 2 inches of bone on the radius, and they had to put two plates in it, and then um, the ulna was shattered, and they had to put two plates in that side too. Um, they had to use a dead person's bone, uh, like they had to use like three. It was, I think, at least three croutons is what they call it. Um, to put in my arm to rebuild it. And that was the first time I'd ever broken like an arm or a leg. The only time. And during my job, everything was going great and everything like that. But then they started gang stalking me. This group started gang stalking me. And I ended up leaving that job. I got another job. Working, it wasn't very long that I worked there, but I was doing work for a hospice company. And when people are on hospice, they're on their last leg type of thing. And I'd go in and give them a massage. Usually it was very, very light massage, and they're not well, so they have to stay seated. And so the body mechanics were not great. But it was something, where you got to help somebody that was on their way out. But this group started immediately when I started working there. They were in contact with people that I worked with. And I just remember thinking, what in the crap is going on? I don't understand. I didn't understand why they were so interested in causing problems in my life. And it didn't make any sense to me. I would drive to work and I'd see these people, and I asked my ex, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And my ex said, this is 2 years ago. I think it was September of 2021. I remember asking him, like, what in the heck is going on? And he said, oh, don't worry about it. He's like, they're not going to hurt you. There's not going to be any harm. They just want to know who you are. And I was like, who I am? I'm like, what the crap? Like, who does this? Who stalks people at their work? Driving to work, and then is in contact with people that you work with. Like, who does that? It was creepy, to say the least. And I knew immediately who some of these people were. I remember going into Walmart, and I was just like, they had set something up. And I'm just looking at my ex. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding? Like, I just remember thinking, like, how pointless it was. How I just remember thinking, this is like, you're causing problems, intentionally. And it's like, what's the point? You know, just to see if somebody can solve them type of thing. Like, it, I just remember thinking, this is so stupid. It's like, why? What's the point? Anyways, a lot of these people were from well, some of them were from Virginia, other ones Maryland. And I even seen a guy that was from West Virginia. And I think that was in October of 2021 that I seen him. And I remember thinking, well, that's weird. Like, he had some young ones with him. And I just remember thinking, like, okay, maybe he's just going to Zion. And that's kind of what I told myself. But I was like, no, I knew that he wasn't. And didn't seem like a bad like, honestly, like, these people didn't seem bad. Like, I didn't get a feeling of, hide your wallet, or, hide your drinks. Don't leave, your car doors unlocked around it. I didn't ever get that feeling of, like, danger from these people. And then the gym, oh my gosh. And then the gym, going to the gym. See, I already made a few videos. 2021, between the time period of October through December, and the very first week, I think, of January. The very first week of January. I noticed immediately, problems with my YouTube account. Like, these things would start popping up. The things that I never searched for. Like, I watched a lot of, like, variety of things, but this horoscope, it was a horoscope channel on YouTube popped up. And I was like, oh, what's this horoscope? Like, I really don't put a lot of weight into horoscopes. I still don't. Like, as far as, like, planetary alignments and things like that. Yeah, there's something there, but like there's a lot more that's anyways, I just was like, this is kind of weird. But I listened to it and I was like, holy crap. Like, this is pretty spot on. Like, it was kind of shocking. And then I was like, okay, let's go back in history, and see, because at the time I had a almost photographic memory. I could recall conversations that I had had with people, 16 years ago in detail. And, I could remember seeing where I was when I said it. And I was like, man, this guy's pretty good. So I started listening to it. And the more I listened to it, the more he was right about like things. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, how is this possible? I just remember thinking, wrap my head around it. I'm like, this is so weird. How bizarre is this? Anyway, I would go to the gym and the name of the YouTube channel was like Ablas Astrology or something like that. It was ABLAS Astrology, or something like that. His name is Roland Legrand or something like that. Older guy, easy to listen to, really good. But I would go to the gym and I'd have these gang stalkers show up at my gym. One of whom was like a wiry gentleman, very skinny, had like a goatee, I think, on his chin at least. And he looked like a meth head to me, but I'm sure he wasn't a meth head. I'm just saying that's kind of like his look, just very skinny and gaunt kind of looking. And this guy was a part of the gang stalking. And I remember thinking of all the other people that showed up there. Right now, I already made another video. I have no idea why I'm just making another one. But I just felt motivated to do another one again. But it would shock you to know who showed up at the gym. One of the people that showed up was from a documentary. Like he was like a director or something like that, from a channel called the Lifetime Channel. Not kidding. This guy from the Lifetime Channel, I think he was a director or a producer, or he had something to do with documentaries. And he showed up there. And I was like, just kind of like, what in the freaking crap is going on? Super weird. And there was a bunch of other people that showed up that I'm not going to say right now, but they were all part of it. One guy had a ginormous bat on the back of his back, a tattoo of a bat. I probably gave this guy away, but I'm sorry. I, anyway, it was unintentional. And they were, during this time period, they were using those, that, do you remember me talking about those microwave weapon that was used back in 2016? They were using a variation of that this whole time. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of like the attacks on diplomats in Cuba, the attacks on I can't remember who it was, but it was like right. It was this. Was it the? It was in D.C. This person was walking out of a building and got attacked by one of these weapons at a long range, and it's like a variation of that same thing, except it's not like they have the ability to like make you angry out of nowhere. They have the ability to make you calm and go to sleep. You know, the way that these weapons can interact with your brain waves is very specific. And they were using this while I was with my ex. And I didn't realize the severity. Like, I thought, okay, well, I've got these people, they're gang stalking me, they're infiltrating my work. They're, they're using these things, but what's the end point? Like, I remember thinking, I'm like, what's the end? Where does this end? And maybe they're just checking things out and then they'll be gone. And I was naive in thinking that was a possibility. The church was also involved at this time. In 2021, that's when they started getting involved. And January of 2022, my ex and I had a big fight, and it was likely caused by not only the stress of being put in that situation, but I'm not exactly sure what all the other dynamics that this person, or everything that was going on at the time, but I ended up leaving and moving back in with my parents because we were going to getting a divorce. And I moved back here, and there was some sort of like a doctor or something like that was like involved at the time. It's kind of strange to think that like a doctor would be involved with gang stalkers, right? People that infiltrate networks and cause problems. Why would a doctor be associated with these people? And I just remember thinking, that's so strange. So strange. Like, why would you purposefully cause problems in somebody's life, right? And then like associate with like a doctor at the same time. It was so confusing. And it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, why is the church involved? Why would the church be involved with gang stalkers and a doctor? I just remember thinking how odd that was. And why did they want me to break up with my ex? Why would anybody do that to a person that's just trying to live their life? I remember thinking, how strange is this? Like, it's super strange. Anyways, so I moved back here and I get a job almost immediately. And everything's great there. You know, everything was great. I didn't really like the job, and it was only a temporary job. It was like they needed help with, for a certain time period, and then I was done. So I did that. I helped out with the solar arrays out here, and I got another job working cement, and it was just for a short while too. So I worked doing cement work, learned a lot. That job ended. And then I got a job for pest control. And it was over in Pennsylvania or something like that, but they had an office up in Salt Lake. And that's where I got trained at. So we were staying in an Airbnb, and it was up in Salt Lake area. And when I was getting my physical, it was like a physical that I had to get. I was at a doctor's office, and I was waiting. I was waiting in the lobby, and this guy showed up. He had curly salt and pepper hair, and I would guess that he was like late 50s. Just a guess. But he shows up in the office, and I was like, you're like, I wasn't sure. At first, I wasn't sure. I'm like, this guy's either law enforcement, like a detective, or something. And then I was like, this guy is an investigator. Why would an investigator be like know where I'm at? Like, you know what I mean? Because the guy just walked in and he wasn't doing anything. You know what I mean? It was pretty obvious. And at that point, the gang stalking was, it was ramping up again. And I remember I went to the bar. I go to the bar, and these random people would be like, "Oh, do you like tarot? Do you like that?" And like they would ask me very specific, pointed questions, and it came off so not genuine, like you can tell. And then the same guy, the investigator, remember, curly hair, came to the bar and seen me there. And he asked me a question. And I answered. And later that night, my phone got stolen. My phone was stolen. I went home with my friend, and then my phone magically appeared back at that place, and so I went and picked it up the next day. But it was that night that it came up missing, right? So I just thought that was weird. Anyway, and the same thing, right? Like, and I realized, I was like, yeah, you know, the pest control, like, I just didn't like it. It kind of made me sick to my stomach a little bit. The spray, because it would get in your eyes, and it just didn't make me feel good. So I ended up leaving that job. That, and I just got a bad feeling if I went to Pennsylvania. I just remember thinking, it's not going to be good. I just remember thinking it's not going to work out. There's going to be huge problems, like, if I go over there. And so I ended up just staying here and applying. I was like, yeah, well, I'm just going to continue to apply for the job that I want. And so I did. I applied for another job that I wanted. And, while I was doing that, I applied for this job that I'm still at right now. And I got the job where I'm at now, and probably, oh my gosh, I wrote it down, but it wasn't long after that they started infiltrating my new job, this job that I'm still at. And I was just like, you have got to be joking. I just remember thinking, this is so ridiculous that a person has to go through this, And I was like, I'll just do my time, and then I'm going to get the job I want, and I'll be good to go. Like, I'm just going to deal with it and not worry about it. And I can't tell you how much crazy stuff had happened at my work. There's a list of things, and I've already made a video of it. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm just going to stop it there for right now. I'll probably upload a little bit more later.